The all-new BMW M2 has been unveiled, but by the way it looks, should they have kept it under wraps? Max Verstappen just won his second F1 world title, but with another last lap controversial ending. And Ford acknowledges the popularity of van life by bringing the Transit Trail to North America. All this and more on this week's Fast Fridays. So BMW unveiled their all-new M2 with a really distinctive look. Fortunately, they moved away from the look of the M4, M3 with that crazy big grille. But maybe unfortunately, they decided to go with a whole new look with the M2. A lot of squared off angles and interesting lines. The more I look at it, the more I like it, but still I wouldn't really call it pleasing to the eye. But that doesn't take anything away from the performance. It's got the optional manual, hooray for that, rear wheel drive, 454 horsepower, 406 pound-foot. That's 48 more horsepower than the last M2. 3.9 seconds with the automatic, 4.1 for the manual, which I think is only 0.1 seconds faster, but still quick. It's super heavy though, 3,900 pounds for the automatic, 3,800 pounds for the manual. The engine and suspension has been derived from the M3 M4, but same base. The seats are cool. The carbon fiber roof is kind of cool. It's shorter by 110 millimeters than the M3 M4, but it's just as wide. So I don't know what that'll look like in real life, but it might look pretty aggressive. And the interior is all about being modern. So huge screens everywhere. Let me know what you think about the way it looks in the comments. Max Verstappen just won his second world title in F1 with Red Bull. It's also got a weird story to it, just like last year, maybe not as controversial. He finished with almost half a minute in front of Charles Leclerc with Ferrari, who made a mistake in the last chicane of the last lap and went off-road. But at the end, he was handed a 5-second penalty for gaining an advantage, which put him in third place just after Perez, who was right behind him. But the real controversy is based on a new rule that they put in place a couple of years ago. The race had to be finished within 3 hours, and if there was a stoppage, depending on how much of the race was completed, there would be reduced points for everybody, which would mean that Max probably wouldn't have enough points to beat up Leclerc. Why this all matters is that during the first lap of the race, there was chaos. Vettel spun out, Sainz crashed, and Albon pulled over because of mechanical issues. It was red flagged, and then there was a torrential rain for 2 hours, and then they resumed. And because of that 3-hour limit, they only had 45 minutes or so to finish what they were planning to have was 53 laps. But they were able to eke out 28 laps, which is more than half, so they got full points for the race. Though resuming a race isn't really covered in the rule books, and I'm sure they'll update it for next year. But for this year, Max got his full points and he gained enough points to cement his win as champion. There's still 4 races left in the 2022 season. At least some crazy race endings for the F1 fans. Just this past week, Ford Pro sent out a tweezer on its Twitter feed about bringing the Transit Trail to North America. It's basically a Ford Transit that has exterior and interior capabilities that will make it useful for adventure type off-roading or traveling. With the explosion of van life interest in North America, it kind of makes sense. It was launched in the UK 2 years ago, and now they're finally bringing it to North America. It probably won't keep the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo diesel that they have in the UK, and probably expect the 3.5-liter EcoBoost V6, and you're probably safe to assume it's 4-wheel drive here in North America as well. But they said they're going to have an official announcement November 1st, so in just a couple of weeks. Polestar just released information about their new Polestar 3. They're going to make it a little bit more competitive. Before it was focused more on small volume, small sales, smaller segment luxury EVs. The Polestar 3 now is just smaller than the BMW iX, which is a direct competitor. Starting in 2024, all the US vehicles will be made in South Carolina. And at first, it's going to be only the all-wheel drive, long-range dual motor. Estimate is about 300-mile range. Towing 3,500 pounds. About a 5-second 0 to 60. That raised lip on the front hood is going to be a new stylistic signature for Polestar going forward. And it'll have all the sensors and stuff hidden in that dark part of the front grille. And it'll be loaded with all the typical fancy tech goodies. But it'll be expensive, starting at $83,000 US. But it's going to be the first variant of a lot more affordable ones going forward. Just quickly, the 911 GT3 RS, which is a gorgeous car. Let me know if you think differently. just set its Nurburgring lap time. 6 minutes 49.3 seconds. It's not a record breaker, but it is faster by 10 seconds than the current GT3. Also worth mentioning is the final Jaguar F-Type, which they're calling the 75 edition, referring to 75 years of Jaguar. Like a lot of the outgoing, ending special edition models from all the car manufacturers, there's not a lot of changes, a few unique badges and colors and such, a few tweaks to the engine and suspension. But what is the most significant is that it's the end of 75 years of gas-powered Jag sports cars. Chevy just showcased their new 2024 Trax, which is bigger than the Trailblazer but cheaper, and compared to the last model, much more modern. In motorcycle news, BMW just uncovered their brand new BMW M1000RR and the brand new naked bike with the M designation, the 2023 M1000R. BMW first took the M naming convention from their cars to their motorcycles in 2018. This year, they've tweaked the engine a little bit and the suspension, but they've added way more carbon fiber, including carbon fiber wheels. They made it better aero and downforce for better top speed and better handling, which I don't really understand how they added downforce but increased their top speed even with the same horsepower as the regular S1000RR, but they did. And again, it's the first M naked ever in history, and it'll start at $33,000 US. Pretty expensive for a motorcycle, but pretty cheap considering the performance you get. In other automotive news, Honda and LG are joining forces in a joint venture to create a new battery power plant in Ohio. They're planning to invest $3.5 billion and create 2,200 new jobs. Honda is also going to inject $700 million in the 3 existing plants that they have in Ohio. Honda entered Ohio 45 years ago with their first manufacturing plant there, and it's decided to turn Ohio into its North American electric vehicle hub. Construction is to begin early next year. In almost opposite news about Rivian and its stock compared to last week, it had to recall 13,000 vehicles due to what probably is an improperly torqued front steering knuckle. The recall affects almost every car they delivered this year. Their stock fell 11% in pre-market trading, and year to date they're down 67%. Rivian's outlook was trending up after announcing last week that it was going to probably reach its 25,000 production target for this year, and with their 100,000 plus reservations for their new SUV coming out, this recall probably comes at a bad time. Another week and another new tweet from Elon that's eyebrow raising, and I'm not talking about any war conflicts or anything like that. I'm talking about Elon announcing that the Tesla Semis, the first ones, are going to be delivered to Pepsi by December 1st this year. Pepsi pre-ordered 100 of them way back in 2017 when they were first announced, but there are multiple official delay after delay, and right now Pepsi's not confirming this tweet by Elon, but we'll see once December comes. California had a pilot program on digital license plates that just now opened to the public, so anyone can buy digital plates now in California. The plates are manufactured by one company, they're monochromatic, you can put a custom message along the bottom, stickers are automatically updated, but besides that, I don't see any real point in getting them. It's based on a subscription model, and they're planning future upgrades like stolen car recovery, tolling system integration, vehicle diagnostic alerts, DMV transaction integration, but to me it sounds like just another way for people to track you. A rather large house in Arkansas has just come onto the market. It has a 1.2 mile track on its 400 acre lot. Or for all you car lovers out there, there's a 1.2 mile track with a house attached to it. It's pretty much a square with a hairpin and a chicane into it, but there's so much land you could pretty much do anything you want with it. Has a bunch of garage bays and a big warehouse space to keep your multi-million dollar car collection. Definitely would be fun to have. If you end up buying it, let me know in the comments. That's it, I changed it up a bit this week. Hopefully it was better. It was kind of hard rambling off all those numbers before. I tried to make it a little bit more loose this time. Let me know in the comments if it was better or not. Subscribe if you liked it. Give it a thumbs up. They're free. Until next time, have a great weekend, everyone.